Now, the parents of the terminally ill baby, Charlie Gard, are being given until Thursday to set out new evidence which they believe will make a High Court judge look again at their case. The couple want to take the child to the United States for experimental treatment, interrupting today's court hearing and telling the judge he is our son, please listen to us. Our health and social care correspondent Victoria MacDonald was in court.
The parents of baby Charlie Gard arrived at the High Court this afternoon for yet another hearing in this increasingly tense and heartbreaking case. It revolves around whether the 11-month-old with a rare genetic condition can be saved, whether there is a treatment for him, or whether this is prolonging his agony.
This is a case that has attracted enormous international and media attention. But it came back to the High Court today because Great Ormond Street Hospital said on Friday that they had, at the very last minute, received claims of new evidence that there was a treatment that could help the little baby. What that new evidence, though, is, nobody yet knows.
Outside, pro-life groups made their presence loudly known. Inside, Mr. Justice Francis, who ruled in April that Charlie should be allowed to die with dignity, said he would consider any new evidence but would not rake over old facts. Charlie's parents, Chris Gard and Connie Yates, at times called out from the courtroom to the judge, saying lies were being told. And outside the court, a family friend spoke for them.
Charlie's parents look forward to new evidence being heard before the High Court this Thursday, the 13th of July, that will result in Charlie's parents taking him to either the United States of America or to Italy for groundbreaking treatment. Mum and Dad say that if Charlie is still fighting, then they are still fighting.
7 international experts sent a letter to the hospital on Friday saying that there is substantial direct and indirect evidence clearly demonstrating that a therapy called nucleoside can cross the blood-brain barrier, critical if it is to work on the brain cells. Doctor-patient confidentiality prevents Great Ormond Street staff talking about Charlie, but other doctors today spoke about the difficulties of cases like this.
Nobody for 1 second would want to be in the place of Charlie's parents and can't imagine what they're going through, and there can be absolutely no doubt that their goal is to do the best by Charlie. Well, actually that's true of the professionals as well. You know, I have absolutely no doubt that any of my colleagues working with any of the children across the country in different circumstances are completely focused on the best interests of the child.
Charlie can now no longer see, move, cry or swallow. His parents say he's not in pain, but it emerged in court today he is now on low-dose morphine. They also dispute that his head circumference has shrunk, a sign of severe brain damage. The judge said it would take a simple tape measure to resolve this. The case returns to court on Thursday.
Well, joining me now are Dr. Claire Girarda, former head of the Royal College of GPs, and Catherine Glenn Foster, pro-life campaigner and director of Americans United for Life. She was with Charlie's parents, Connie and Chris, in court this afternoon. Catherine Glenn Foster first. When doctors say that Charlie has severe and irreversible brain damage, he can't see, he can't hear, he can't move, cry or swallow, doesn't that quality of life call into question the wisdom of this continued legal battle?
Well, first, thanks so much for having me. And I think what's key to remember here again is that Connie and Chris, like any parent, want what's best for their child. And they want a second opinion. They want to give Charlie a chance. So even as we speak, there is a team of medical professionals who is reviewing Charlie's medical records and re-examining that evidence in order to determine if Charlie actually does have that irreversible, significant structural brain damage that has come out.
But we know he can't see or hear or swallow or move. I'm just asking you about that quality of life, whether it is fair on him to continue this legal battle.
Well, I think the real question, though, is whether he has a chance to improve. And being told that he has that up to 10% chance to significantly improve, then that would be something that his parents, Connie and Chris, really do want to pursue.
Claire Girarda, that's the point, isn't it? While there is still this chance, potential, the parents' doctors say, the parents' lawyers say, for a dramatic clinical improvement, they're going to fight for everything, aren't they?
They are, of course they are. If there's any chance, any hope, any parent would fight. Unfortunately, it's not as easy as that. And as a GP, I'm not an expert in mitochondrial disease, and fortunately what we're seeing is very, very rare. But what you have to do is you have to take the best evidence. You have to weigh up that evidence given by the best experts. And we know from your piece and from what I've read that international experts from right across the world have given the best expert evidence that they can. You then finally have a judgment. And we've had 4 courts, including the highest court in this land and the European Court of Human Rights, judging this case, a judge judging this case. And in the end, you have to trust that system. Now,
let me put that to Catherine Glenn Foster. You trust the experts, you trust the doctors, who, after all, are the ones keeping Charlie alive.
Do I trust them? Well,
I'm just thinking, don't you have to trust them? Don't the parents have to trust the doctors?
I think that it's integral to the system that that parents and in fact anyone can also seek a second opinion, or else the first doctor that you go to see determines your fate.
I don't know this case, the ins and outs, but I would bet my bottom dollar that this child has had lots of second opinions. I would bet maybe the child hasn't moved, but his case would have moved, and maybe even some of the blood tests, the case notes will have moved and would have been looked at in great depth, if I know Great Ormond Street, by the best experts in the world, independent experts. And we also have to say, Great Ormond Street have no vested interest in this. We have a National Health Service. This isn't their money. This is the parents aren't paying for the healthcare. There are no vested interest. The only interest is the interest of that little baby.
Catherine Glenn Foster, these are, world-leading experts. Why not trust them?
Well, there are other world-leading experts who have the opposite opinion, who are coming out, hospitals and doctors around the world, who are in fact saying that young Charlie does have a chance and should be given that chance.
And that's when the judgment will happen. So the judge will look at this new evidence, and again, I only know what you know, which is there isn't new evidence, this is existing evidence. We'll look at this this evidence and say, is this evidence realistic? And does it realistically give a chance for Charlie to live any quality of life at all?
Isn't the sad reality that pro-lifers like yourself are jumping on a bandwagon here, and that Charlie is now being used as a sort of ideological football, which is a horrendous state of affairs, isn't it?
Certainly not. In fact, there's that talk about hope. And really, it's Charlie's parents, Connie and Chris, who are giving hope to the world. It's the doctors, the hospitals around the world who are opening their doors.
Have any rights? Does Charlie not have any rights? We've heard that he's on pain-killing medication, which presupposes that he's in pain. He has rights, and unfortunately there is very rare situations where the state has to take over from the parents who might want the best for their child, but unfortunately the best for their child might be to allow that child to die with dignity. And to be fair, I don't think you've seen the bundle of evidence. I don't think you've been sitting in the courts over the last few months looking at what the judges have been looking at, weighing up that evidence right across this country and overseas.
Well, let her answer that.
I have seen significant portions of the evidence. I've reviewed the MRIs, the EEGs, and I'm not a doctor. The judge is not a doctor, but I do trust the medical professionals who are reviewing it.
So what's your interest in it? Why have you flown over with the preacher who's been sentenced to jail for anti-abortion protests? What's your locus in this?
Well, when Connie and Chris reached out and said that they needed us to come over, I couldn't say no. They had a family friend in the United States who had reached out, put us in touch with Connie and Chris.
Catherine, you could say no. I mean, I'm not sure it's very helpful to come over and interfere in this case. I can understand the Pope interfering. I mean, after all, the Pope believes in miracles, and that's why he's the Pope.
Well, Connie and Chris asked us to come alongside them.
But you're now appearing in media. We've got pro-lifers outside the High Courts. This is now turning into some sort of media circus, when actually what we've got is a little boy and distraught parents who should be doing the best for that little boy, based on best evidence. If the judge on Thursday says this child is fit to travel to America, fine, I trust the judge. But that's the person that should make the decision, not people howling outside High Courts and making this a circus.
Quick response to that?
Well, I certainly don't know the hearts or motivations of anyone outside the High Court, but I will say that there is this swelling interest around the world, because one of the core principles that unites us all is the family, is the right of parents to make a decision. And I think any family would be doing this would be trying to give their child a chance to the best of their ability.
But even in America...
I'm really sorry, Claire, we have to end it there. Claire Gerada and Catherine Glenn Foster, thank you very much, both of you, for joining me.